face it, it's gone. It's gone forever. You still play law. You still support Nazis. You still support the World Economic Forum. You still support a foreign crown in your land. You will join its peacekeeping forces that would rape your lands under rules of usufruct, take your mines, forests, fisheries and agriculture, and you'll wholeheartedly go to war for this machine. A machine that occupied your country. A machine that occupied your crown, 1936. A machine that installed a false currency in your land and the Reserve Bank and made you all join a foreign power as citizens of its machine. You are Abraham Lincoln's citizens. You are not loyal subjects of the Commonwealth of Australia. You are not loyal subjects to the Kingdom of Australia. You joined a foreign executive branch machine as its citizen so that it could nanny you in your inability to manage your own affairs. You failed to follow your very own constitution when you wholeheartedly believe that you're defending something when you are not. Afghanistan should have made you realise starkly that when you enter battlefields, you are operating for foreign powers wherein you committed heinous international war crimes under the Brereton Report. And that Brereton Report mentioned a culture in the SAS that went up command into the Parliament. You have Tony Abbott, a known Jesuit papist, who declared war from Arnhem Land, wherein 11 soldiers were deemed to be war criminals. And they will not speak about it in the media because that would indicate to you who they worked for, what they were doing, and why they became war criminals in the first place. You wholeheartedly defend states that mandated vaccines on soldiers, on police, on nurses. These are international criminal offences that you are supporting by continuing the way you go. It's gone forever because you will not stand up as a people under a flag loyal to your crown, so displayed on the shrine of remembrance, being holy ground that your Anzac raised up out of international waters. Instead, you let that sink. In Queensland, they called it the Submerged Lands and Seas Act. Your land was put under international waters by a foreign peacekeeping force while it came here to collect your debts. This government, since John Howard, has put you $11 trillion in debt. Is it your debt? Or did they make it up while they occupied you and undermined you and took your mines, forests, fisheries and agriculture from you? You have an opportunity under the United Nations to step back into self-determination as a Kingdom of Australia, so forged by your Anzac in 1919. So recognised by the Crown at Imperial Conference 1926, wherein stone of remembrance was laid at the Shrine of Remembrance in the King's Domain in Melbourne. You fail to recognise your strength as defenders of faith and instead join foreign military powers in the ADF to go and fight for oil and oil interests around the world that kept a petrodollar alive. You are not seeing what's going on when you defend a foreign power that occupies and oppresses your very own people. You have defended zero, nothing, nada, when all of those forests, agriculture, fisheries and mining get sent offshore and no value comes back into your society. Your towns are bankrupt. Your towns are insolvent, constantly borrowing off the IMF, where the federal government speaks about surplus and deficit on a yearly basis, but will never ever address the total national debt that it's put you under. The Senate speaks of the Lord's Prayer, wherein it says, "Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors." What does that mean exactly if you have the ability to self-determine and return back to a kingdom of Australia in the sovereign position that your Anzac left you? If you continue to choose to fly a blue ensign with 7-pointed star, you are supporting the United Nations. You are not returning back to who you were as a people before they got here. You are not recognising the United Nations and its administrative and occupying force that is on your soil. Instead, you are taking oath to them, joining them and going off to war for foreign interests, and you are helping Nazi. There are Nazi in Ukraine that have been trying to keep oil pipelines alive for papists. The very same papists that occupied Germany in 1939 and then Japan. Japan bombed Australia at Broome and Darwin. Japan went over to America and created Pearl Harbor on behalf of the Pope. A Roman Berlin axis of power is currently crumbling in stress, trying to support its Nazi to keep oil pipelines going. And you have seen Germany collapse and Japan collapse. This should indicate to you who they are, who they work for, and what Elbow does in your land as a foreign administrative power. He is nothing more than a debt collector for the Pope, who just called in all movable property. Go and read Liber Code Articles 155 and 156, and you'll recognise you serve a foreign power when you join its parliament. You serve a foreign power when you join its military. You serve a foreign power when you join its hospitals or its police forces. This is why they force-mandated vaccines, going against international laws, making them war criminals to your Commonwealth of Australia de jure, underneath what they administer. And it's time you recognised how to return home instead of trying to move forward and create a war. You will not win a war. You will win by Ghandi way, by civil disobedience en masse. You will win by standing in the right of self-determination you always had as a people, recognising that you are occupied and captives, as described in the biblical text. Render unto Caesar all that is Caesar's, render unto God all that is God's, and these captors may leave in their inability to manage what is you.